Last week on the Bitcoin Tarot podcast, Cosmic Conroy's Tarot predicted bullish spirits will defeat the devil and bring a rise. Meanwhile, Charting Chad's analysis suggested things look bad and we're returning to the 6,000s. Then, the price of Bitcoin dropped immediately below 6,500, causing an appeal, and a post hoc alteration of last week's grades, the price stayed about even since then. Cosmic Conroy gets a grade F and Chad gets 2 grade A's. Their GPAs are now 2.0 and 3.4. Chad now racing ahead. But what will happen to the price this week? Will we wobble around 6,500 all year? Presenting our first contestant reading the cards, it's Cosmic Conroy!
You are very welcome. You know, it's twice as depressing when not only is the price diving and going down, but also so are my grades. Come on, cards. Let's do better this time. We'll do our usual 4-card spread, with 1 card representing the past, the next card representing the current moment, the 3rd card representing the future, and the final card representing an overall meta view of the whole timeline. A reason. We'll start with the first card then. The first card representing the past is the Princess of Swords. Now, she's a princess, which means she represents youth, beginnings. And she's also a sword, which means she represents battles. It seems the cards are saying that last week were just the beginning stages in a much larger battle. And what's happening at the current moment? The current moment is the 9 of Swords, Cruelty. Yes, it has felt this week as though with that big drop was just being cruel to us and then tantalizingly failing to recover, even more cruelty and despair piled on top. So what will this lead to? The 3 of Swords, sorrow and despair and loss and grief. That's not a good sign for the future of Bitcoin, but what will cause our cruelty and our sorrow and our grief? The cause is the 7 of Cups, debauchery. It's come up 7 times so far this year. You'd only expect 2 by chance, and it's 4 of those times it's been here in the reason position. Debauchery has been a common reason this whole year for the price of Bitcoin to be plummeting, and it seems not likely to change. Meaning of the reading has become clear. How debauchery and illusion and greed and gluttony will lead to last week being just the early stages of battle, because last week was only the beginning of the sorrow and cruelty to come. That's it for next week. Until next week, avoid the sorrow and cruelty, and may the Bitcoin bless you.
And now, representing the technical analysis crew, it's Charting Chad!
Successful appeal means I've got 4 perfect A's in a row. That's very good for me. If only things look so good for Bitcoin. Let's have a look at the charts. Here on the hourly candles, we can see that we're well below the moving averages now with that big drop last week, and all the moving averages are still in the most bearish configuration, so things are not looking good. We add in the markup here, and we can see we're still within the triangle, and we're still within the downwards wedge. Plenty of room to play around inside there before we eventually return to the 2016 trend in a while. More closely at the daily candles, we can see the little L shape there with a big drop and then the static most of the week. If we add in some markup, we might expect a bit of a rise from that kind of a drop, perhaps to the 6,800 level, which has been important in the past. However, we should notice that L shape. That L shape is what we call a bear flag, and its target will take us below the bottom of the triangle, which will probably take us lower in turn. So, looking at that bear flag closely on the hourly candles, we can see it is indeed likely to take us below the 6,000 level. So all in all, it's likely to be a drop this week, probably to below 6k. So that's it from me. Keep your stop losses tight, and I'll catch you next week.
The Bitcoin Tarot podcast needs your support to fund a longer format show. If you want more detail and perhaps some altcoins to be examined, send donations to any of these 4 addresses. Whichever coins have the most money when we hit the target will get a special side reading from both Chad and from Conroy. Remember, if you can't donate, you can always like and upvote and share our links to while away the hours until we once again ask the question: can the tarot beat technical analysis in next week's Bitcoin Tarot Podcast?